Ah, this woman, you are so evil. If anyone have told me that you betray me like this, I wouldn't have believed them. Mrs. Johnson still standing confused. What did I do, my husband? Oh, you're asking me. You are still pretending. You don't know what you did. Where did you bring those children from? You said they were mine, but now I just figured out that they are not my children at all. Mrs. Johnson, but my husband, you are the only man I've ever known ever since I got married to you. I've never been with any other man. You are a liar. If you've not been with another man, how come DNA test says these children are not mine? Where did you bring them from? Mrs. Johnson was still confused, trying to explain herself when her husband pushed her away from the house, scattering all her clothes everywhere, telling her to leave his house with his children. In the buzzing city of Lagos, Nigeria, there lived a couple, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. They had been married for over a decade, and despite their love for each other, they had one major concern. They had no children. They had tried everything from fertility treatments to traditional medicine, but nothing seemed to work. As the years went by, the pressure from their families and friends began to take a toll on their relationship. They started to drift apart, and the love they once bond right began to fade, but they refused to give up on each other. One day, while browsing the internet, Mrs. Johnson stumbled upon a private hospital in Lagos that claimed to have a high success rate in treating infertility. They decided to give it a try, and after a series of tests and treatments, Mrs. Johnson became pregnant. Oh, the couple were filled with joy when they found out that after 10 years of marriage, God had decided to bless them with their own child. The couple was overjoyed and they couldn't wait to welcome their baby into the world. But little did they know their joy was short-lived. The hospital, on the other hand, was doing everything possible for Mrs. Johnson to have a safe delivery. As Mrs. Johnson's pregnancy progressed, the hospital staff would often warn them not to seek medical attention elsewhere. They claimed that the hospital was the best, and of course, according to research, it was the best, and that other hospitals would not be able to provide the same level of care and provision that they have for them. The couple, trusting the hospital, obeyed their instructions. Finally, the day arrived, and Mrs. Johnson gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. The couple was overjoyed and they couldn't believe their luck. But as they looked into the eyes of their babies, they could imagine how lucky they were to have given birth to them. Family and friends were so happy with them. They came and celebrated their joy with them. Soon, the twins began to grow, and it was their first birthday. As everyone gathered and was partying, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson's neighbor, Mr. Kunle, also came with his wife and children for their birthday party. While talking, Mr. Kunle jokingly told Mr. Johnson that the children doesn't look like him at all, that he is a very dark man, but his twins were light skinned. Everyone started laughing. They called Mr. Kunle jealous because he was jealous of his neighbor having beautiful light skinned children. Well, that night, Mr. Johnson couldn't sleep. He was thinking about what Mr. Kunle said about the twins. Mr. Johnson, on the other hand, didn't find it funny because he has always had a suspicion about his own children. One day, Mr. Johnson got a call. It was from his friend. He was crying over the phone how they wanted to travel outside the country and they did a DNA test only for him to find out that he wasn't the father of their three children after 5 years of marriage. That particular call actually made Mr. Johnson uncomfortable. He pitied his friend and equally asked him the hospital where he conducted the DNA test. The friend told him. Then Mr. Johnson secretly went and did a DNA test. When the DNA test results came out, Mr. Johnson's fear was confirmed. He wasn't the biological father of those children. Mr. Johnson was devastated. He was angry, he was sad. So that day when he got home, he decided to chase his lovely wife away. Mr. Johnson was so furious and he accused his wife of infidelity. He claimed that she must have had an affair and that the babies were not his. Mrs. Johnson was devastated and she tried to explain that she had done nothing wrong. But Mr. Johnson wouldn't listen. In the heat of the moment, Mr. Johnson chased his wife out of their house. He told her to leave and never come back. Mrs. Johnson was heartbroken and she didn't know where to go. Days turned into weeks and Mrs. Johnson was forced to live on the street. She had no money, no food, and no shelter, but she refused to give up. She knew that she had done nothing wrong and she was determined to clear her name. Meanwhile, Mr. Johnson was filled with regret. He realized that he had made a mistake and that he had wronged his wife. He knew that he is supposed to also conduct a DNA test on his wife just to be sure if they were not scammed by the hospital. So he began to search for her, but she was nowhere to be found. One day, Mr. Johnson was walking through the street. He saw a woman who looked so familiar. It was his wife, Mrs. Johnson. She was sitting on the sidewalk, begging for food. Mr. Johnson was shocked and he didn't know what to do. He approached his wife slowly and he apologized for his mistake. That there might be a mistake somewhere. Mrs. Johnson, on the other hand, wanted to clear her name. She obliged and decided to do another DNA test together. Finally, when the result was released, it turned out that the children were not their own. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson were confused. They asked the doctor to conduct another DNA test just to be sure, but the doctor insisted that the results were accurate. Mr. Johnson couldn't believe his ears because he was with his wife during the pregnancy stage. So what really went wrong? Where are their children? Mr. Johnson asked. But nobody had the answers to his questions. Together, they decided to investigate the hospital and find out the truth. They discovered that the hospital had been buying babies from poor families and selling to unsuspecting parents. Some parents were aware, while some were not. They had been using injections to make the woman feel pregnant, and they had been warning them not to seek medical attention elsewhere. The couple were horrified and decided to take action. They reported the hospital to the authorities and made sure that the doctors and nurses involved were brought to justice. The hospital was shut down, and the doctors and nurses involved were arrested and charged with various crimes, including child trafficking and fraud. The couple's story was all over the news, and they became advocates for couples who had been victims of fertility scams. As they delved deeper into the hospital activities, they discovered that they were not the only couple who had been affected. There were many others who had also been sold babies that were not their own. The couple decided to start a support group for the families and they worked tirelessly to help them get justice. Some of these families, their marriage had already scattered. It ended in divorce because some husbands were not patient enough with their wife to find out the truth. Through the advocacy work, the couple was able to help many families get the closure they needed. They also worked with the government to create new laws and regulations that would prevent fertility scams like this from happening again. As for the twins, they were taken care of by the couple, who loved them dearly. They decided to adopt them officially, and they raised them as their own. The twins grew up to be happy and healthy children, and they never forgot the story of how they came into the world. The couple's love for each other had been tested, but they had come out stronger in the end. They had faced a terrible ordeal, but they had faced it together and they had emerged victorious. Years later, the couple looked back on their experience with a sense of sadness, but also with a sense of gratitude that they were grateful for the twins who had so much joy. They were grateful for the lessons they had learned about the importance of communication and trust in a marriage, and they were grateful for the strength they had found in each other, which had carried them through even the darkest of times. The story of the couple and the twins is a testament to the power of love and resilience. It shows that even in the face of adversity, families can come together and overcome even the most daunting challenges. The couple's experience had been a difficult one, but it had also been a transformative one. They had learned to appreciate each other and to appreciate the beauty of family. And they had learned that with love and determination, anything is possible. In the end, the couple lived happily ever after, surrounded by the love of their family. They knew that they had been through a lot, but they also knew that they had come out stronger on the other side. And they were grateful for every moment they had shared together. The story of the couple and the twins serve as a reminder that the family is not just about biology, but about love, care, and acceptance. It shows that with love and support, families can overcome even the most difficult challenges and emerge stronger and more resilient than ever. The couple's love story is one that will be remembered for generations to come. It is a testament to the power of true love and the importance of family. And it serves as a reminder that no matter what challenges we may face, we always have the power to choose how we respond and to create a brighter future for ourselves and those we love. Thank you so much for listening to my story. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, on your notification bell so when I post new videos you'll be notified, okay? Please drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. Remember that we post new stories every single day, so you might want to on your notification bell so once I post them, you'll be notified. I'll see you in my next video, guys. You can also let us hear from you. You can drop a moral lesson you've learned from this amazing story on the comment section. See you guys now.